So one thing you may have seen when you're doing agentic coding is that when you're starting off a greenfield project, often the code that is written is not necessarily the highest quality. It kind of looks at your code base and it continues to copy and paste the patterns that you've already implemented. And if you're not going through and actually like looking through a Git diff to try to figure out what changed and how to kind of tweak it, often the code quality can start slipping. Now, there are a bunch of ways that you can set up guardrails with these LLMs. For example, in Claude Code, there is a /review command that you can do. So I have Claude Code open over here in my mission control application. If you type in /review, that's going to review a pull request, or you can have it just review the Git diff that's on your current branch. Okay, they also have something called an ultra review, which spends 5 to 10 minutes and costs $5 to $10 to do like a deep dive analysis on your entire code base. So this might be useful as well, but I find it to be very extreme and kind of takes too long to do a full audit. But the great thing about skills is that you can actually start creating your own skills. For example, I have an audit skill, which by the way, this is part of my agent system core. If you go to agentsystem.dev, I have a collection of all the skills I like to do every day when I'm coding to make my code of the highest quality and also help me ship as fast as possible and kind of automate all the boring stuff out of coding. Also, if you do like this mission control thing I've been working on, I do plan to put that on agent system dev as well. So go join the waitlist and I'll send you an email when that stuff is ready. So I'm going to try this audit skill on this AI video generator application. So do a full project audit. And again, I'm going to keep this in low mode. I'm about to run out of credits. Tuesday is when my credits reset. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep stuff on low mode. I have found that using low effort, it works pretty well, especially when you have certain skills set up. Like everything with my agent system, I've been running on low effort because internally it tries to think and ask a lot of questions and get stuff really figured out. And so you don't really need a high effort level to kind of achieve that. This is the application that we're doing a full audit on. This is AI Clip Studio. I basically built this in a weekend using my agent system skills. And you can go in here as a user, you can create an entire video from scratch. The script is generated using AI. The subtitles are generated. The video is generated, I think, using Grok behind the scenes. And you can easily publish this to YouTube or TikTok or whatever. But I want to make sure that the code that is in production right now is of the highest quality. And this is something that you should also be doing as well. So after running the audit skill, it's going to ask you some questions. It's saying that there are some changes on this branch. Honestly, I don't even know what changes I made on this branch. I could probably just commit them real quick. I'll just click the ship button over here and that should just go ahead and make a git commit automatically and push it to prod. Now the second question you can see it asking is what mode should this audit run in? Now I will say in my agent system I have some different modes set up to do a balance, so it kind of saves on tokens and it's a little bit faster. We have a fast mode that's kind of a quick little scan through to make sure your code is kind of good, and then we have a production mode that's going to go through and do basically everything. It's going to do a ton of checks over your entire code base and it could take some time. In our case, I'm going to do a balance mode. All right, let's just go and kick off that audit and then we'll come back and see what does it find in our code base and what does it recommend that we change. All right, so I went through my code base and it found a couple of issues with data integrity. We have type contract validations and errors as well. And it gives you a suggestion of what we should kind of fix. It found a duplicate of caption effect ID. It found a duplicate for recent generation card and for the dashboard shell. It looks like there's two things that are completely repeated. We have an admin function that's duplicated on different areas, and we have a Stripe plans that's duplicated. There's some performance issues that it found. For example, we don't have an index on Stripe customer ID, and I do believe we have a query that tries to look up customers by their ID. And so this could just be very slow in SQL unless you actually have an index on that. It also looks like it found some areas that can increase the performance. So in credits 176, let's go to there. It says it's doing sequential selects. So I'm guessing there's an area where it can kind of like do these selects in a promise all. So it's not wasting time waiting for one select to finish and then doing another select. So it has a bunch of code smells and issues in my code base that this audit command that I use for agent system found. And now we can basically just go and do the recommended, or we can kind of have it just go through everything and fix whatever you want. And now it's asking, what does it actually want to fix? I'm going to say just fix everything. Okay, I'll just go ahead and kick that one off and I'll let it go through the code base and kind of make those changes. Right now you can see I have no changes in my Git def view, but when this is done, we should see those changes kind of start popping up. All right, so the audit went through and it fixed a bunch of different stuff, but there's a bunch of additional things that it's saying that these require design judgment, not mechanical passes. So and it's telling me to open one at a time and try to work on them. So again, not only did it fix the things that it found, it also is suggesting that, hey, like I actually need some input on this other stuff. Do you want me to kind of walk through them with you and fix them? Some issues it's found is that we have like scattered environmental variables that are being like loaded in versus having a centralized place for them. Stripe webhook body validation. Stripe SDK already validates the signature. Adding a separate ZOD gate over the event union is debatable. Now you can go through one by one, but honestly, I'm just going to switch the effort level to something a little bit higher so it can do a little bit better job and just say, go ahead and just address 1 through 10 using your best judgment. So let's let this run. So if you're not doing this process when you're doing agentic coding, where you basically, after a certain amount of time passes, you either have a cron job that automatically kicks off an audit and just looks through your code base and tries to find these things. Again, you can automate this with like GitHub Actions. You can automate this in Claude Code directly. They have an interval that you can run that just kicks off whatever prompt that you want. Or if you're not just manually running these after you've kind of been vibe coding and adding stuff in, this is something you really need to add to your tool belt of things that you do every day, because these things will get shipped into your production code. And the longer you let it slide, the more technical debt you're going to add to your project. And it's going to be harder and harder for these AI agents to kind of fix them. You're going to see random bugs start happening when you add in a feature. And so just being very proactive at stopping these things from slipping into your code base is something that we already do as professional engineers. But now that code is being slung so much faster using AI agents, you might as well just ask the agents to check the code many times as this is happening. Now, I will say that just using Opus is great, but if you use Codex as well, Codex and GPT 5.5 is a really great model. So when this is done, I actually have another skill. I think it's called a handoff to Codex. So I'll actually pass this whole thing over the Codex. It'll do a complete overview and rehaul of like all the Git diffs and the changes that it found, and just verify that what I'm doing is actually a good refactor. I wouldn't just trust Opus. Try to span out and use other models to re-review the code. But again, that handoff skill is also provided in my agent system. So that's all I want to show you in this video. Go check out agentsystem.dev if you're interested in using any of this stuff when I have it ready to be launched. Have a good day. Happy coding.